today this is largely an administrative feature. Councillors will recall that we had a workshop where we addressed issues which related to where we were going with our LTP, which were matters about an investment committee, Southport chairs, independent directors, and those other matters which we discussed. So because that was a workshop, we need administratively to resolve them to be presented to the next council meeting, which is next week. And there were some timeframes that necessitated we have a meeting prior to that, which is why you're here now. So thank you for your attendance. We have online Scott Hamilton and Bethia Gibson. And are there any apologies? Right, okay. No, don't appear to be any apologies. Declarations of interest, I haven't been informed of any. Are there any? Right, public forums, petitions and deputations. Again, I've not been informed of any. Let's do the confirmation of the minutes. We've got the Southport minutes of the 23rd of July. Would some member like to move that they be...
Mr. Chairman, do we have to go into the public?
Do we go into public? Not for this one.
No.
Righto, okay. So,
Happy to move.
Nicol, seconded Morris. So their accuracy is open. Is there any omissions or erratum that need to be addressed? If not, I'll put the motion that the minutes be accepted. Those in favour would say aye. Against no, that's agreed. And where are we? Reports. Oh, hang on a minute. Notification of extraordinary items for business. I haven't been advised of any, nor have I been advised of any questions. Item 7. Does anybody have any? And councillor reports. I've just expressed in my introduction why we're here. I don't think it's not very long since we met. I don't think there are any other. Item 9, reports. So we have the Investment Committee Independent Member Appointments Report. Members have had this circularised. Bethia, do you want to make any comments at this stage?
Thank you, Chair. There are 3 things that I'm seeking from today's paper. One is for us to agree the appointment panel to be used to recruit the independent members. Second is just for you to note the plan that we will be using for that. The third is to confirm or decide if you do have a preference for us to potentially be nominating 2 independent members rather than the one that has been agreed by council, noting the final council appointments will be decided by council. And then the last one is, if you do agree that you would like the panel to potentially find 2 members, I have provided revised position descriptions for your consideration.
Okay, thank you. Right, any comments or questions? Yeah, Jeremy.
I need to know, I will ask, how come we ended up with 2 on the panel, councillors on the panel? We've always talked up to 3, and I don't know, unfortunately some of us had to leave the workshop and we ended up with 2 on the panel. Now this is a governance position. I just want to know the structure of where sorry, Lyndall, you got something to say?
It wasn't a staff decision, I think that's what you're
No, Jeremy has the floor.
I'm just asking how we got down to 2 and why not 3? And in the past, it has worked quite well when we've done our independent selection of chair for the audit and risk. So I just need a bit of clarification because there was a discussion all up to it. It was quite a surprise to some.
Firstly, I'm not sure where you're referring to. It's always, we had a discussion that there would be 3 on this panel. I don't recall anything. The only formal discussion we had was at the workshop, and after a discussion it was decided there would be 2. That is my... You're shaking your head, councillor?
Yeah, and I'm shaking in the wrong direction. I said it was 3 or 4 and there was never any mention of staff.
Staff is supporting.
Yeah,
But they're actually on the panel here do they have voting rights?
Right, can you advise?
The panel is there to make a recommendation to council. The decision actually rests with council at the end of the day. Staff, I think, as Jeremy said, are involved because they support the process and they can provide input into the decision making and support with information.
That doesn't answer my question.
I wasn't there for the discussion.
No,
but
we're
the
talking
impact-
about, when it comes to actually determining who is promoted for the council to sign off, do the staff have voting rights? My understanding would be they don't, but can someone advise whether that is right or not? It would be only the elected councillors on there.
If I can.
Yeah.
And the other process with the audit, I think we have about 3 or 4. And it was this councillors ultimately said, yeah, no, we reckon we
right.
agree, staff support. So that's all I'm saying. I said, okay, I don't worry who it's on, but it's saying, I think
Okay.
2, I thought 3 was probably a good number, and I know that we was up at one stage.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So Councillor McPhail is right, is that in the initial council meeting, we had a wide-ranging discussion with different numbers of councillors involved. We didn't specifically talk about the role exactly that the staff members would take. They can either be on the panel or they can be with the panel and assisting the panel. Sorry, excuse me, it's up to the committee to express their preference of the role that the staff member takes. From my experiences,
Matthew, you're saying that's not determined, that they're just advisory.
well, you can determine that. So from my experiences at times, the staff member will ask some questions in the interview. They will guide the interview through their scoring and evaluation. And others, they are merely there to support the process and not have any involvement in the question other than structure the process. So it's over to you.
Yeah, the question before us is, I think there's a clear expectation they would be there to assist the right decision and ask questions. The question which has been raised here in this meeting is, do they actually have a vote, or do the council members only on the selection panel have the vote? That's the question.
Well, my general experience is that committees work together to identify a preferred person. I'm not familiar with committees voting on who their preferred person is, and generally they will work through their questions and use reference checks, etc., to resolve any differences around preferences. But I think if push came to shove, it is, as Councillor McSale has said, it is a governance role. It is there to support governance. It would be a governance-led decision.
Right, thank you. I have wanting to speak Paul, Nicol and Morris. I'll take them in that order.
Thank you. We're talking about the appointment of people to interview applicants for the independent chair, and whether that be 1 or 2.
No, 2 or 3. 2 or 3.
No. 1 to be on the Southport committee, and 1 to be independent chair. Is that right? Previously, when I've been involved, there's been 3 councillors, 1 being the chairman and 2 other councillors, 1 that wasn't in that committee, which was actually quite good, and part of the team helping in the process of advertising, bringing the recommendations or bringing the people through. And then the 3 that were involved in the interview process make a decision on 1 or 2, and that goes back to council to come up with a vote then.
Yeah, well, the councils approve and sign off what the recommendation is, or they may reject it and ask for another
So
one.
we've currently got 2, which is yourself and
correct.
Lyndall. And what I can understand is Jeremy's suggesting that it should have been 3 because it was communicated as 3, and I agree with that. I think it needs to be 3. So
Okay, I'll take Nicol.
Yes, well, yeah, just listening to the discussion. When it comes down to make a decision, we normally come to a consensus, but we did talk about three councillors, and I don't think it's a tragedy to add.
Okay.
It's,
I'll take Morris.
Well, I agree with that, Mr. Chairman. I suggest that we agree that that Jeremy, who was the third person, be appointed to the committee, and we proceed along those lines.
Thank you. Lyndall?
Yeah, thanks, Chairman. I don't mind if there's three.
Yeah.
3 heads are better than 2, maybe, or maybe they're not, who knows? But also, the staff role, I think, you know, if that's advisory, that's fine. The other consideration is Scott's contribution to the conversation, because he's the expert in this field, so I would expect that he would have more of an advisory role in that appointments committee.
Right.
And the other, even more important thing actually is recommendation number 4, because that last discussion changed the application process, the seeking process from 1 to 2 independent directors. So if we could go back to that discussion at some point, that'd be really good, because that's actually a much more significant decision than just who's on the panel. Thanks.
Were you wanting to say something, Councillor McDonald? Right, okay.
So it was suggested.
John?
Yeah, so not wanting to pressure things, but if we do end up, Jeremy does go on his third, just making sure that Al was a short straw on backup, just making sure Al's there for backup.
Right, clear. Okay, I have given this matter some thought. We're not going to relitigate the whole issue, but if we have a look at recommendation 2, we could, with a motion, I think, amend that to say that the 2 that have been selected and the reserve be the interview panel, if we can get some wording around that, and the backup be the unsuccessful, not drawn individual.
Loser. Oh, no, not that one.
Can we word something around that?
It'd be bridesmaid, isn't it?
Could I perhaps suggest that we just slightly tweak the recommendation that's here for number 2? So agree that the appointment panel for the independent members will be councillors Roy, Ludlow and McPhail, Council Strategic Investment Advisor with support from a senior member of staff. Councillor Gibson will be backup.
Right, yeah, fair enough, that's fair enough. Peter, then Paul, then Morris.
I'd like to say that's really good.
That's lovely.
And I just want to make a comment. Why are we making such? I know we're in a competitive environment in this council.
Well,
why are we? The question we should ask ourselves: why are we making such a big deal of this?
We're not. We're solving it. We're ready to move on. Paul, right, that's enough. Paul.
Thank you. We need to use the terminology correctly. It's an appointment panel. Councillor Ludlow said appointment committee.
Sorry.
To make sure.
Yeah, no, we'll get it right. Thank you. Thank you for your diligence. Morris.
A little bit of vagueness about those staff who are going to be there. I support Lyndall and that Scott should be on that panel. So
well, we agreed for 2. I think if we go back to our workshop, which was Scott and Bethia. No, Scott and a senior member. You're right.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Sorry,
No.
the proposal for the proposal for the senior staff member will be me initially. My contract is due to end, so
Right.
the proposal is for it to transition to Amy.
Okay, fine.
Having heard the debate, Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to move items 1 and 2 as
One and 2 as amended.
Yeah.
Be moved. Nicol, is there a seconder?
Yes.
Al?
Yep.
Right, and I'll put that amend, well, I'm just wanting to do this right, and I think I'll take that as an amendment first, and then we'll have it as a substantive motion and do it properly, right? So move that and move Nicol, seconded Alistair, that number 2, recommendation number 2 be amended. Those in favour would say aye.
Aye.
Against, no, that's agreed. We could then probably just about do all 5 unless there's another issue that needs to be resolved.
Provided we're all comfortable with number 4.
Right, we want to talk about number 4. Let's do 1 to 3. Would someone like to move recommendation? Thank you, John. Is there a seconder? Jeremy? Any further questions? I'll put the motion that recommendations 1 to 3 be resolved. Those in favour would say aye.
Aye.
Against, no, that's agreed. Let's talk about item 4. What were the issues here?
It's just, Chairman, that's just advertising for 2 independents, not one.
Yeah, 2 or 1.
Number 4, it gives the option.
Yeah.
So that gives us plenty of.
Yeah.
Scope, yeah.
It's not saying we will, it's just saying, hey, if we've got 2 good people.
Yeah,
there,
exactly. That's a good.
Right, and we're happy with that?
Yes.
Nickel?
Yes, well, I think that gives us the flexibility. We're not tied in, but if we have 2 outstanding candidates, it gives the ability to actually
Right.
council to decide. So yeah, I'm happy with.
I move
Moved forward.
for,
Paul, seconded Alistair. Any further questions? Those in favour would say aye. Against, no, that's agreed. Resolution 5. And someone, are we happy with that? It's an accurate reflection. Thank you. You're moving, Lyndall?
Yep.
Seconded. Paul, any discussion? Those in favour would say aye. Against, no, that's agreed. What we've got to do now is we're publicly excluded now. Morris, you were keen to do that earlier. Would you like to move it? We're going to hear we better document the reason. Thank you. Harriet?
So, item 12.1, preparing for potential share sell down. The reason for going to public excluded is to enable any local authority holding the information to carry out without prejudice or disadvantage commercial activities.
Cool. Right. Morris has moved. Is there a seconder?
Second.
Nicol has seconded. Those in favour would say aye. Against, no, that's agreed. Right. We're offline, are we, Adrian? Right. Cool. Who wants to